Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ni Dodu Dodu. I'm talking to you from Accra, Ghana. And it's wonderful what technology can do. I can sit here and interact with all of you. I've just had sessions from, people talking from Uganda, from Pakistan, and so it's a delight. I'm already excited because I'm going to interview a very fantastic lady, and she is in the person of Dr. Adekemi. Let me say a few things about Dr. Adekemi, and I'll give her a chance to say more if she wants. But Dr. Adekemi, from what I've heard, is a visionary rural dentist and a health equity advocate dedicated to expanding access to oral health care in underserved Nigerian communities. Welcome, Adekemi.
Thank you so much, Lee. It's really a great privilege to be here today, and I'm so excited. I look forward to this not being a formal interview or something, just an honest conversation. So I'm really
That,
excited.
that's right. I'm a Commonwealth Fellow alumni, and from 2004. When were you in the program?
So I was a Commonwealth scholarship from 2019. So I
Okay.
graduated in 2022. Yeah.
I see. Brilliant, brilliant. And I can't wait to hear about all the fantastic things you're doing in Nigeria. Like I said to you, my next dental appointment will be sitting in your consulting room in Nigeria.
You're very much welcome.
Thank you very much. Let's kick it off this way. Can you take us all back to the moment or the experience that made you think, you know what, I need to create something? What problem did you see and how did that, ignite your passion and that you couldn't even ignore?
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like most people, when they're in university, they just feel like, oh, I want to go into entrepreneurship. I want to be a creator. I want to be an innovator. But that didn't start like that for me. For me, it was a discomfort that started after my graduation. I was posted into this rural community as a dentist. And as I was working as a rural dentist, I became the first point of contact for children, for families. But I was in a community where each day children will walk into the clinic and I wouldn't be able to help them because there was lack of information, there was lack of access to and they couldn't even really afford it. And people would wait so long to seek help, and I would see children coming and out of pain months after months. And this struck me, and the severity of the cases were so much preventable. And that was
Mm,
what made things harder for me to know that, okay, these things are quite preventable. Why are children coming in with so much of these diseases? And I would talk to the parents, and the parents would say things like, oh, I didn't know that this was a problem. It wasn't something that had like that was coming down. The children weren't coming down with pain. I
mm,
thought this was normal. That was when I realized that the issue with dental care access is not just okay facilities. It was more of access to information, especially in the rural communities, especially in
mm,
the rural areas. And this was very, very important. And I realized that even when these people come to my clinic, most of us as dentists were trained to have this let me use the word jargon language. We talk about the mandible and the molar
yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
caries that the people in the rural communities don't really understand this big medical grammar. So there was also this gap in passing down this knowledge. And I realized that this knowledge needed to be culturally grounded and communicated to people in a way that they could, it was just simple. They could take home with them and pass across to other people. And I kept asking myself, why do people only show up when things are going wrong? Why is it that when it comes to healthcare and access, people only come when things are going wrong? That's when I knew that I needed to do something. I knew that I was at a space where, because this question wasn't something that was going to leave me alone. And at that moment, I knew that treating patients wasn't really what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Because as important as it is, or as important as it was for me then, it wasn't enough. I needed to create something that could reach people earlier, that could be preventive, something that educated and empowered them and prevented them from pain. Because while we're working on our health systems and affordability of care, what can people do when they don't have money? They can prevent it, right? And that was what made me start my organization. That was what made me say, yes, I wanted to create something for people.
All right. Now you've got me hooked on and you're very interested, and I'm sure just like my listeners, we all want to hear more. Um, was there a scariest part of actually getting started, a moment when you almost didn't take the leap?
Oh, as a social entrepreneur, someone that is starting something, and also being female in a kind of male-dominated world, it's there's this scary part of uncertainty, especially
Mm.
for me. It meant leaving what was stable, leaving
Mm-hmm.
your job that was
Yeah,
stable and
yeah,
going
yeah.
into a field where you don't even know where the next money is going to come from. You don't know if you're going to get funders, and at this time, it's not like I have a big vision deck. There was no funding on the line. There was no team, and I was still practicing. I was still learning, and still very much finding out things about how to innovate and create things. And there was this internal voice in me that told me, kept telling me, "See, it's safer to stay in your lane, safer to be in the clinic and not create things. Someone else will end up creating things." But there were moments when I truly didn't take that leap, especially when you just see it's in dentistry. Dentistry is not something that it from for instance, let me put it this way. It's not like you're talking about HIV. It's not like you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about
Yeah,
tuberculosis,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
well known. Every
Exactly.
single time I walk up to a person and tell them about oral health and why it's important, I get talks like nobody has ever died from caries
Mhm.
or cavity or toothache. So it's something that's even very, very hard to get funding for. And for me, I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
was the
yeah.
scariest part. Bringing the team together, bringing people to believe in the vision. It felt a bit unfamiliar and very intimidating for me
Okay. Can you
because
still hear me?
that I have to be the first person to believe in my vision. So I put my
Okay.
money into it. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can. Go
So I
ahead.
put my money into it. Okay. So I put my money into it. I reach out to friends and families, colleagues that I knew could support at the time, even though I was like, okay, I can pay you for this right now, but this is a good work that we're doing. And that was when I realized that courage was all I needed, even in the midst of this uncertainty and the scary thing and season. I would walk into a room. I just a funny example. I remember when I moved to a particular rural community and I was going to get a space for my organization, and I walked into the building, and the owner of the building, one of the things they asked me was, "Are you married? Are you married? Like, if you're not married, I'm sorry, we can't give you the building." So there were so much, walls that I had to,
Mm,
barriers that I had to break, even as a woman,
yeah.
feeling like if it's a man adding this, it would have been, way better to do that. But for me, I think the courage was what got me through. And I'm really glad that I scaled through those scariest moments.
Okay. Okay. Now you're getting me inspired, all the different things I want to do. And I'm not thinking, yeah, I have to go back to them. Um, what were you doing before this? Were you in a more stable job before decided to do this?
Yeah, so for me, I was in a more stable job where I got paid by the government.
Okay.
You could resume at a particular time and get off at a particular time. So it was more stable and the income was, consistent.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was really a big leap to try and leave, your comfort zone behind and venture into this.
Yeah.
Definitely there would be, there'll be times when there were setbacks, Can you tell us about a failure or a setback that really tested you, that, you probably almost threw your hands in the air, and how did you pick yourself up and move on?
Yeah, sometimes as entrepreneur, we're so passionate and we believe in our vision, which is good. But one thing I learned along this journey is that passion does not automatically translate to sustainability. And the first thing, and I think it's made me realize that failure it is good because it tells you how to be better. And the first nonprofit that I started failed, and it failed like it. I would like to say it failed forward. But right now, there were initiatives at that time that, it was beautiful on paper. It was beautiful, small scale, but it struggled to grow. And then, there were issues with partnership. I would enter, write to an organization for partnership, and I would be so optimistic that we're going to get the partnership. And at the end of the
Mm.
day, it wouldn't turn out the way I hoped. And I remember there was a particular time that we had funders for a whole year. And after the next year, we were really eager about creating another project in another community. And at the end of the day, COVID hit. And when COVID hit, they were like, "Oh, I'm
Wow.
sorry, this is not the priority right now, and we're going to divert resources into something else." And that, as at that time, I felt kind of broken because I really knew that, of course, there were other priorities, but I also knew that, oral health care was something that was important. Access to health education was something that was important. So those kind of moments really stretched me, and I had to ask myself some, difficult questions about continuation. How can I sustain these? What are the things that I need to bring into the organization, and that will make sure that my structure is not fragile? And I think for me, that's when I started viewing failure as a ladder for me to kind of step on and look at the signs. Okay, what are the things that we can do better? What are the systems that I can do? What are things that we can bring up from the organization internally that can earn money for the organization? So we don't only depend on funders. And for me, I feel like every of those challenges, even though it felt like a setback, was a way to have clearer priorities and boundaries as an organization and have a mindset change. And I think for me, that really helped me.
Good, good. You know, listening to you, it's as if I was listening to a description of myself as well, because I also get into a few entrepreneurship ventures, and you are very right. Sometimes the passion of the entrepreneur is both a strength and a weakness, because you need
Mhm.
the passion to keep going, but then the passion also makes you lose sight of reality, and you think it's going to work, it must work,
Yeah.
the world needs this, I can't fail, and
Mhm.
when there are signs that things are not going well, because of the passion, you don't see them. And that's why my
Yeah.
antidote to that is I try and surround myself with people who can tell you, who are not as passionate as you are, and the people who see the
Absolutely.
challenges, so they can tell you,
Yeah.
have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Can you go and do this? So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I have, but you're right. Passion is required, but it can also be a weakness because then
Mhm.
you fail to see what the reality is, isn't it? Yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you're right when you talked about that, because one of the things that has helped me also is that to kind of surround yourself with people that can help you think outside of the box, who are not necessarily thinking like you, that can help you
Exactly.
diversify your thinking. So absolutely.
Good, good, good. And now let's talk about the Commonwealth connection. How did your Commonwealth scholarship specifically shape your journey, whether through knowledge, networks, shift in perspective, what have you?
I'm so grateful because of the Commonwealth Scholarship, because it was a turnaround for me, absolute turnaround. I was the Commonwealth distance learning scholar, which was something I chose deliberately at that time because I knew I wanted to build something and learn at the same time. I wanted to learn and make it contextual to my work at the same time, not really devote myself to schooling, then come back to kind of why I wanted it to be like a simultaneous something. And
Okay.
so for me, being a like the distance learning scholar, the first thing that helped me was that it was so practical and very deeply personal for me, because I studied medical leadership. I was leading, an organization. I was starting an organization. So it was important for me to get that knowledge. And the fact that there were scholars like myself that came from different countries, different contexts, health professionals that were working in different regions, it kind of gave me a different perspective to things that I didn't see. And it made me understand that some of the challenges that we have in equity is not just peculiar to my community alone. It may be affecting different people, but we kind of share we kind of share the same challenges, but have maybe different context of providing a solution for it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
one of the things that the whole like scholarship and meeting people did for me is that it shifted how I thought about scaling and system. When I was before I met people, the network, my colleagues and all that, I always thought about scaling and just bringing the work that I did in maybe a rural part of northern Nigeria and seeing how it can be applicable in rural part of Ghana. And I just say, oh,
yeah,
just copy and paste. But meeting people and they're talking about the communities and the needs of the community, you realize no, that can't work. You can't scale like that. The systems don't work like that. So it helped me, while studying and at the same time I was working, I was able to learn, what I was learning was not in abstraction. Every
yeah,
concept around leadership, I was able to enact it in my organization. Every concept about change, every concept about innovation, coaching, mentoring, immediately, I was able to have real life experiences and opportunities to kind of practically, leave those theories that we were taught. And for me,
yeah,
it really
yeah,
really was amazing. And secondly, I think for me it's just the exposure. And many people underestimate this. There is so much power in saying I'm a Commonwealth scholar. It's so much powerful. I remember,
yeah.
I would walk into a room and people just ask questions about what you do, what you're currently doing. And I realized that the moment I say I'm a Commonwealth scholar, that kind of changed a lot of perspective in sense that so there was this exposure that being a part of this global community kind of gave to me and gave to my and also it's helped me meet so many people that I could see so many challenges across continents. And that was when we're talking about thinking outside the box. It kind
Yeah.
of gave me peers that allowed me to think outside the box. Then I think one of the things that really really helped me was the confidence I also gained during my scholarship. Just the learning, a lot of presentation, a lot of speaking, a lot of having to put my work out there. There was this confidence, that is built in me and in the work that I do. And it's made me begin to think about looking at my work as a small work. Like it's not a small work. It's a small work that I can have a global conversation about and become a
Yeah.
global work. And that is
Yeah.
how it just kind of skyrocket to that. So I say it every time somebody meets me and tell me I want to apply for the Commonwealth scholarship, I'll say it's something powerful. And I am so glad that I didn't even have to step away from my community and my work to grow. I built capacity and I gained a lot of perspective. I was able to strengthen my work without disconnecting from the reality of the change that I'm doing in my community. And that balance stayed with me because that's one of the things that I learned, that creating that balance. Because when you're also a distance learning scholar, some of these learnings are paced
Yeah.
at your own pace. You feel like, oh, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm just going to catch up with some homework or do some this later. But learning that balance and priority, it really helped me because I can apply that to my work right now again.
Brilliant. Fabulous. Excellent. And I think listening to you about the power of the core scholarship program, I couldn't agree with you more because same, the shift in perspectives, the exposure. And I think one thing as you spoke that kept coming to my mind is, not reinventing the wheel. There are solutions to things around the world. And so what Commonwealth Scholarship does for you is to expose you to all the different solutions the world has to offer. And then you can then take that, understand it, and see how you can contextualize it, as
Mm-hmm.
against thinking from scratch. So yeah,
Yeah.
it did that for me as well. There are things, and one thing I also realized through my own experience, there are things you don't value at home and then you see
Mm-hmm.
it in other places and you realize, okay, this is very valuable. And it's
Very
because you
true.
realize that somebody in another country is asking questions about solutions that you have as well. So I think it's very reciprocal and it provides an opportunity for everyone to
Mm-hmm.
share on that platform. Brilliant. Of course, in business, you have to keep balancing
Definitely.
you have to keep balancing a social mission and being sustainably financially, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How do you stay true to that? That you want to, because it's a problem that kicked your enthusiasm into action. And
Yeah,
but like we've all agreed, the reality hits you that, you need to remain financially stable to keep providing the solution you are providing. How
yeah.
have you been able to do it? And what in answering that, what's harder than people think. There are things people don't see, but you are saying, these are the difficult things people don't see in how you do this balance. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so there's first this idea when you tell somebody I'm a social entrepreneur, or you tell somebody I have like an organization that's into like impact, people don't think money, they don't think income. People, there's this silent belief that income and impact cannot coexist. There's this there's a way people feel like, hey, if you are into nonprofit, if you're an NGO, if you're into, sharing this, you can't make money. Making money is bad. Well, the truth is, in reality, the challenge is not about bringing income and impact to be opposed to each other, but how to honor each other in a structure, like you said. Because the
Hmm.
truth is, impact runs on money. No,
Absolutely.
no non-profit runs on paper. Everything runs on money. So if
Hmm.
you're a non-profit, you're a social entrepreneur, you have to be thinking on what wise way to kind of find the balance of not losing your mission, but at the same time making money. Because the truth is, there's a price to social impact. There's a price to social entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
Seriously,
True.
and we must understand that we need to invest in systems and we need to put money in systems. And for me, one of the things that I've learned to do is to look at what are the opportunities within my organization. I'm going to give an example of how we've been able to do that within my organization. You know, what are the systems that we need to build within our organization that does not kind of cut or chip in on the impact, where we're not making money at the, should I say, at the expense of impact, but at the same time we are we are, should I say, we are still out there reaching out to people, reaching out to children, but at the same time we are making money. And for instance, what we do in my organization is this. One of the things that we started was we actually started writing books for children. We do a lot of animations for children.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
carry this animation, virtual reality, to rural communities, children that have no access to health education at all. But this is it. There are dental clinics that use these same, tools to reach out to people who can afford it. So what do we do? There are organizations that are willing to subscribe to it. There are, schools that are willing to say, oh, we want to showcase this to the children in our school. Can we subscribe to this for a year? And that brings money to the organization. That money is used to produce more books, to reach out to children in rural communities that cannot access it. So it's a win-win situation. So you have to be thinking of how we can make, because the truth is, there's this livid idea that volunteers shouldn't be paid. But the truth is, even though they are volunteering their time, they should be compensated. So
Of
people feel like,
course.
oh, if you're volunteering, no. But the truth is, if I'm going to take a group of volunteers to a rural community to treat that community, provide access to dental care for the community, I need to be able to give them something:
Absolutely.
transportation, food, and all that. And that comes from the money that we make. So the truth is, as long as you're not betraying your mission, when I mean betraying your mission, you're not doing something. I feel that the balance is integrity. If
Yeah.
I'm not gonna break the integrity rule because I want to make money. I'm not gonna lie because I want to make money. I'm gonna siphon because I want to make money. But at the same time, I'm gonna look at a way to legitimately do it as a social entrepreneur so that there's sustainability. Because without financial discipline and clear structure, I tell you, the impact you're making is, it can be exhausting and can cause burnout. There are times that
Yeah. Yeah.
personally
Yeah.
I've had a lot of burnout because I feel exhausted mentally, because I feel like we need money. We need money to go out there. There are some funders that will tell you, they'll come to us and tell us, We want to help you with this project. We want you to go to so community and treat 500 people. But they will tell you we don't want to cover overhead costs. What do you mean you don't want to cover overhead costs? What do you mean? Like dentists, the doctors, every single thing that we're doing out there has overhead costs. We're going to transport,
Absolutely.
generator, light, every single thing. So, and that's why you have to be thinking to balance the mission
Yeah,
and
yeah,
money.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
you have to be just think deeply and see, because it's not every entrepreneur out there that is in the health field like I am. So
yeah.
think of, okay, how can I make money in this field? What can I do with it, or what can we bring out within an organization that would kind of bring money back? Yes.
If someone is listening to us right now and is sitting on an idea but hasn't taken action yet, what would you tell them?
I would say this. Like, it seems cliche, but the truth is, start. Start small. Start small. It may be small, but I mean, like, just start. Because starting makes, or let me put it this way. Start smaller than your fear. Let whatever you're starting be able to overcome your fear. You don't need that perfect clarity. People say you need to get everything. I see people come to me and say, I want to start an organization. I want everything to be on board. I want investors all at the same time. I want to open like this fine building with this with. I'll say this. See, you need the clarity of mission and vision, right? But that
Hmm.
clarity of putting everything together all at once, you don't, there's going to be challenges along the way. You're going to grow along the way. So you're not going to figure everything. Your number one key or capital to starting is conviction to take the next step.
Hmm.
Ideas will grow when there's action. Your ideas will grow when you're able to bring up that team, get the feedback, and refine it. So don't wait. Don't wait. Don't think that, oh, I want to start that fashion company as an artist, or maybe you're a Commonwealth scholar that graduated as a visual artist, and you're thinking of when next you're going to be able to showcase your art in Italy or something. You can start on the streets. I mean, just start, get that feedback, get that refinement. And it's okay if the first version of what you do looks nothing like the final version. Imagine every beautiful house, the most beautiful house today didn't start beautiful. It started from the foundation, building something up. So mine didn't start beautifully. It started from a team of 5 people that went into a rural community, so disorganized, but we tried to create impact. And now we've built this into a global organization that has a voice in, many countries in the world. So I would say start small. Don't be afraid, get a mentor, look up to somebody, and get someone to help you kind of refine that idea. Have a sounding board, like have an accountability partner. Don't neglect your network. The network is power. I tell you, those people around you are the first capital. People think it's money. It's not money. It's the next person that can tell the next person and say, hey, can you volunteer for this organization? Can you chip in something for this organization? So that power of network and the power of mentoring, I say get it and start.
Okay, good. I'm going to take you on your direction of mentoring and probably coaching. Um, yeah, and it's because I'm working on something here as well around that. In your what you consider the progress you've made so far and how you started, can you pinpoint where mentors and coaches were important and what exactly did they do for you or did they give you?
Yeah, I feel for me, first of all, like I just tell people, for me there was a difference between mentoring and coaching, because my
Okay.
mentors had a relationship with me. Most of them, it was a long time relationship. And for
Hmm.
instance, when I was in my post medical leadership, we had mentors. So they were like kind of taking us through the process. I was able to kind of sound my ideas to them, and they were able to kind of give me, should I say, wisdom from their lived experiences and the work that they did, that I
Okay.
could bring to my organization. And they were able to say, oh, have you considered this as an action? And most of the time, and the funniest thing is that during my scholarship I had mentors, and at the same time I had a coach. But most
Okay.
times my coach would always help me, like maybe with a project to help me kind of bring out some kind of reflection about this. And and around my work, currently I'm in a program, I have a coach that helps me with time balance. And that's
Okay.
very important as an entrepreneur. So
Okay.
I feel like, okay, I'm currently on a program where I tell myself every Monday I have to take a rest and journal it down. So my
Okay.
coach is there to help me to tell you, okay, so how do you think you can make this work? How do you think, just to see you through and to bring out the best in you to see that you can fulfill those goals that you have time after time. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with concerning leadership. It can be just in any area of your life that can help you be a better leader. So I think that's where mentoring has become, I have mentors in the health field that I really look up to,
How
that
did
I
you
share
find
my
them?
ideas with.
How did you
Okay.
find them?
Yes, I feel like this is me. I don't know if it's a personality thing or by say that don't be afraid to go out there. So most of my mentors, I found them on LinkedIn. I
Oh,
found them
really?
like, yes, I found them like in a network like this. Sometimes I'm attending a meeting, for instance, and I meet me and I say, oh, like, I really like what me is doing. And I'm like shooting an email to the organizer and say, is it possible to connect me with me? Because
Okay.
I feel like there's some questions I want to ask him and things like that. And when I'm able to get the email, I request, oh, would you, like to have a meeting with me? I would like to request a form of mentorship and like that. So you must be willing to put yourself out there. And the what was the worst that can happen? It's a no, right? So
Yes.
yeah, so put yourself out there. So I'm on LinkedIn checking for people that were on the same page, people that have been where I want to be, people that share the same, kind of the same path, and I'm reaching out to them.
Thank you very much. That's that's an advice I would take as well, and I'm sure all our listeners will be, because it means your whatever you create your network, you invest into it, you link up with people. There's no magic one that will bring you, you have to keep finding people, and you would find who resonates with what you want to do. And I think one thing that people also don't know is that, when you ask people to be your mentor, they feel privileged, right? If they
Yeah,
feel very
absolutely.
privileged, it means you've recognized that they have something to give and something to share.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah,
probably will get more than just mentorship. You would get their own connections, right? They can
exactly.
link you up to other people who are doing, so brilliant. It's a brilliant advice. And
Yeah.
let's close this way. What does success mean to you now compared to when you started?
Truthfully, when I started, success to me meant like I want to be visible. You know, I want to when they're mentioning oral health or like people that change makers in that space. I want to be a voice. I want that recognition. I want to be the one building momentum. That was what
Mm,
success meant to me. And I think right now it's not bad to feel like that. There's
mm,
power in visibility and reach. But today success means a different thing to me because it's legacy.
mm,
It's the system that works when I'm not present. I'm really one of the things that make me so happy today is that the organization that I built has been able to carry out projects without me not necessarily being there. I've been able to raise leaders. I've been able to replicate myself. It looks like, and success to me are the communities that I once reached out to, that I once went out there. We were just the dentists there. Now raising children that are empowered to talk about oral health. Now raising children that are singing songs about health, education, and all that. Success to me is creating something that outlives me
mm,
and without my direct involvement. So it's durability for me, it's sustainability. It's knowing that the work that I do can be adapted anywhere in the world. My work is being adapted in the Philippines. My book been written in the Philippine languages, in different other languages, without me
really?
necessarily being the focal person out there. And I feel like that is success to me. It's not just the visibility. I could be in my rural
Yeah.
community and just be sitting there, and the work is going on in Asia, in in North America, in the Caribbean, and that is what success is to me, really.
Wow. I can only say that this has been very inspiring for me. I definitely have taken a lot away from this conversation, and I'm sure everyone listening to us has as well. I have fed on your enthusiasm and your and your passion, and if there's anything I'm taking away, it's that. Let me thank you very much for the time, the conversation we've just had, all the things you've shared with us. I believe in these conversations because this is worth 10 books that you can read. You are a walking book, and anybody who listens to these things, you've compressed everything into a few minutes. I definitely will keep in touch. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
our listeners will keep in touch as well. I'm taking down your contacts. Like I said, my next
Yeah, same
my
here.
next dentist appointment will happen. Are you in Lagos or you are in Abuja?
I'm in Abuja, so
You are
feel
in
free to
Abuja.
fly. Yeah,
I will definitely get in touch anytime I'm in Abuja. I'm going to follow your progress, and I'm sure we will have things
absolutely.
to talk about beyond this. So,
Yeah,
thank you
same
very much,
here.
and yeah, thank you too to everyone. And let me hand over to Linda.
It's a privilege for me. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much from Need and also Adekemi. It was an interesting conversation, which I enjoyed a lot. Uh, Let me tell you a very big thank you to every participant for this part, and I'm really grateful for your attendance in this session. Um, we are going to have another session tomorrow, but before that one, I really appreciate if you can scan the QR code, a very, very short survey for today, and also for all the conversation, the panel discussion, and for the presentation, our wonderful scholars and alumni delivered to everyone today. Just scan it and submit your survey. And thank you so much for that one. Our agenda for tomorrow going to be again at 10 o'clock. We will start sharp at 10 o'clock and then we will finish at 1 UK time with a closing plenary um, from our colleagues. Thank you so much, everyone, for your joining. Have a wonderful time. See you tomorrow. Goodbye. Thank you.